Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves lately, and trust me, it's a doozy. Imagine this, 3 mothers in Texas are suing to block a law that requires the 10 Commandments to be displayed in public school classrooms. Sounds like something straight out of a heated debate, right? But here's the kicker, this isn't just about religion in schools. It's about parental rights, state power, and the blurred lines between church and state. So, let's break this down. First off, what's the law in question? It's Senate Bill 10, passed last year in Texas, mandating that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom. Now, personally, I think this is where things get messy. The 10 Commandments are undeniably a part of our cultural and historical fabric, but they're also deeply rooted in Christianity. So, when you put them on a classroom wall, what message are you sending to kids who don't identify with that faith? One of the mothers, Emily Roth, put it perfectly, "My kids are young and they don't have the concept of murder, and adultery and servitude." It's not just about the content, it's about the context and how it's presented. What makes this really interesting is the legal angle. These mothers aren't just saying, "We don't like this." They're arguing that the law violates the Texas Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which protects the free exercise of religion. In other words, they're saying the state is overstepping by imposing one set of religious beliefs on everyone. But here's where it gets even more complicated, they're also leaning on the Parental Rights constitutional amendment, which Texas voters passed in 2025. This amendment gives parents the right to make decisions about their children's upbringing. So, the question becomes, does the state's authority to dictate what's displayed in classrooms override parental rights? It's a clash of principles, and it's fascinating to watch unfold. Now, let's talk about the broader implications. Texas isn't alone in this. 3 other states, Louisiana, Alabama, and Arkansas, already require the 10 Commandments in schools, and nearly a dozen more are considering similar legislation. If you take a step back and think about it, this feels like part of a larger trend of religious influence creeping into public institutions. Emily Roth called it a test case, and I think she's spot on. Texas is often a battleground for these kinds of issues, and how this plays out could set a precedent for other states. What this really suggests is that the fight over religion in schools is far from over, and it's only getting more intense. But here's the thing that immediately stands out to me, the response from supporters of the law. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and groups like Texas Values argue that the 10 Commandments are part of our heritage and should be taught. I get it, history and culture are important. But there's a difference between teaching something as part of a curriculum and displaying it as a set of rules on a wall. What many people don't realize is that by presenting the 10 Commandments in this way, you're implicitly endorsing them. And that's where the line between education and indoctrination gets blurry. From my perspective, this lawsuit isn't just about 3 mothers versus the state. It's about a much bigger question, who gets to decide what values are instilled in our children? Is it the state, parents, or some combination of both? And what happens when those values conflict? This raises a deeper question about the role of public schools in a diverse society. Are they meant to reflect the beliefs of the majority, or should they remain neutral ground? Personally, I think the latter is crucial for fostering inclusivity, but that's a debate that's far from settled. One detail I find fascinating is the Arlington Independent School District's response. They're holding off on displaying the 10 Commandments until the federal court system resolves a separate lawsuit. It's a smart move, but it also highlights the uncertainty and division this law has caused. Schools are caught in the middle, trying to navigate state mandates while respecting the concerns of parents and students. It's a no-win situation for them, and that's something we should all be paying attention to. So, where does this leave us? Well, the lawsuit is still pending, and it could eventually make its way to the Supreme Court. But regardless of the outcome, this case is a reminder of how deeply divisive these issues can be. In my opinion, the real challenge here isn't just about what's legal, it's about finding a way to respect everyone's beliefs while maintaining a secular public education system. It's a tough balance, but it's one we need to strive for. As we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this thought. What does it say about our society when we're still fighting over whether religious texts belong in public schools? Is this a step forward, or are we revisiting old battles? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Because, honestly, this is a conversation we all need to be having.